You're listening to the Good Sounds podcast, where we explore the history, science, and healing power of sound. I'm Lauren, and today I'm joined by Valeria Clarke from Sound Healing London. Valeria blends the harp with the singing bowls, gongs, and breathwork to create really powerful and unique sound baths for deep rest. She's one of London's leading harpists and plays with the London Electronic Orchestra, Escaping Time, and the London Contemporary Orchestra as well. Today, we're exploring her story, her tools and process for working with sound, and how sound sessions can better serve corporate spaces and modern workplace pressure. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this conversation. I really wanted to start by rewinding back to hearing about your first experience with healing sounds. What was that like?
I first experienced it at the session, just going into a sound bath. It was a sound bath with singing bowls. And I'm a classically trained musician. So my brain has been wired to approach it in a kind of skeptical way. What is this? There's different ways you approach music, and sometimes. So I had that very skeptical brain to go into the session. And then throughout the session, I was like, wow, I've never felt like this. It's really interesting. It's something I really did not expect, especially going with that attitude. I've always been doing yoga and I've been studying about, chakras. I did understand that world, but nevertheless been skeptical.
How did it actually make you feel at that time?
It made me connect with something within myself that maybe have been dulled down or slightly lost. And I managed to really listen to not like this, this sound, we can feel it before we can hear it. And I guess that the frequencies and the vibrations and just lying down and taking it all in, deep listening unlocked. And after that session, I went to practice and I was like, I, I'm listening in a very different way. Then, from a music perspective, I was like, wow, that is so powerful in so many ways. And then I went on doing more sessions, and then I was like, I really want to learn how to do it myself, did a few courses, and bought myself my the first and favorite set of Tibetan Himalayan bowls, and then later gong. I was just like instantly connected. I would just sit in my studio doing that to myself or my friends. That's pretty much how it started.
I love that. What was going on in your life at that time? So were you working in corporate? Were you playing music professionally? What was the rest of your life looking like when you had that first sound experience?
I was working with a lot of different orchestras. I was doing a LPO scheme, London Philharmonic Orchestra, where you train to sit alongside the principal and play with them. I've always been playing music, and I've always loved it. But I was really stressed. I had other
Mm.
auditions for orchestras where you just practice so much. And yeah, something within me just been lost, that maybe love towards sound or music. It was just like a race to get as many notes, as many technique in. And yeah, I guess it was a good time to discover something that put me back on track with love and why I actually play music in the first place. So it was a pre-COVID, and then yeah, shortly after COVID happened. So that's when I really kind of had time to learn about it.
It's really fascinating to see your soundbar setup, but also the way the harp is the centerpiece. And when I was researching you, I was thinking to myself, have I actually heard the harp live? It feels like it's kind of this like mystical instrument that I have heard it live at a candlelight events where they put
Oh
hundreds of those
yes, yeah,
candles and they
they are
play.
amazing.
It's an extremely unique soundbath that you've got. I think it's like the only one with somebody using the harp as well. I guess it's a natural pairing because you're already doing the harp.
Mm. I can play you some Harp afterwards, because even without bowls or gongs or the more traditional sound healing instruments, the harp sound is very soothing. And I've always been into freestyling and improvising, composing, discovering new, harmonies or, melodies. So that's, I guess I've always been doing a little bit of that sound healing without really calling it names. And then, yeah, when I got my set, I was like, let me just, because balls have such beautiful resonance. And when you hit a ball, then the sound just lasts for quite a while, especially within the good acoustics. And then you can layer the harp on top, and that creates another dimension of the sound. I was just really enjoying it. Then my harshest critic is my partner. And I was like, you gotta come and tell me whether you like it. And so I laid him down and I did a little trial. And he was like, wow. Because he's done sound bath with me before with just traditional instruments. And he's like, this, you need to share it with other people. And I was like, well, let me just get into it a bit more, discover how I can do the whole journey. Because usually when I do my session, I like to think about kind of a journey you might experience with highs and lows. And so that's, yeah, I've started working that out and then slowly introducing it to friends and, further.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Speaking of your sessions, yeah, can you walk us through what that's like from start to finish? How is your setup looking? What's the room like? What can people expect?
Absolutely. So the setup, it always takes longer than the session itself. So if it's, well, within my studio, it's already the instruments are here. But then when I come to a corporate, to the offices, I bring everything with me. So it's a lot of equipment. I've got a very large van, and so my harp, and then a gong, 7 balls, and I've got a few percussion instruments with me, ocean drum, rain sticks. So I usually set it in kind of a semicircle, so I can reach all the instruments. And the key for me, because again, separating it from classical, like any traditional performance, people see you, right? And by watching you, their thoughts might be like, oh, elsewhere. So that's why for
Yeah.
me, it's important for people to lie down, and I give everyone an eye mask.
Mm,
So everyone puts the eye mask, and hopefully then they can move that element that they don't need to see what's going on, because I am playing multiple instruments often at the same time. And yeah, often people do comment afterwards being like, how did you do that? Did you have someone else with you? I'm like, no, with a bit of practice, you find your way around it. So that's the setup for the session. If it's a corporate, I bring the mats, and the session starts with some breath work, because again, it really helps to slow down and to get in
yeah.
the right mood. And then I don't really like talking. In fact, I'm always very anxious about public talking, like whether it's presenting my concerts or in this scenario,
Yeah.
because you're in front of like suited up lawyers or people working
Yeah.
in tech. And my brain just goes, oh my goodness, they're going to think this is so weird. Yeah, very often they are coming with that attitude, being like, well, why are we here?
Yeah,
But
I can
then you
imagine.
feel like, yeah, a lot of skepticism. But because I've been there, I was like, well, you just
Yeah.
try it and then we can talk afterwards. And in most cases, people do come and like, I really didn't know what to expect, and I would love to do it again. And that is just the best. I just love it so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with your resume as well. Your like sound work resume. You've got some really big corporate clients in there, like Unilever and like who are the other ones?
I've been
Meta
very
and
lucky. Yeah.
yeah. And I could really see that. I mean, for example, I was talking to one of my teachers, Chiang Mai Ali. He has like a holistic wellness center, but they do a lot of sound stuff. And he said, as his recommendation for a sound therapist was to find your people that you can speak their language. And he was like, I can't do corporate because it's just so not me and I don't know how to interact with them. He was
Yeah.
talking about his how he found like his group. He works a lot with addicts and people in recovery. And so I can really imagine corporate clients, they're a group that's so underserved. Their nervous
Mhm.
systems are probably like extremely highly strung. And yeah, I feel like you've really got to have a certain skill set to be able to talk to them about what it is and get them on side?
Yes. Yeah. I tend to not go into chakras and that world because I don't want to lose them completely because
Mm,
you might not connect to them. I just want them to experience the vibration and the sound and see whether that might just help them to even just, relax and
mm,
disconnect, pause, because sometimes sessions are run like during the lunch break. Mornings might be a little bit tough because then again people just want to get things done. Yeah, and I did notice that it's just, yeah, finding that balance for them to disconnect. It is difficult. Yeah.
So let's just circle back a little bit to your setup.
Mhm.
I know you mentioned you also using the gong as well. What do you
Yes.
feel that that adds to your sessions?
Well, the frequencies are a lot deeper, a lot lower.
Mm,
And with gong, some people find it might even like uncover some anxiety and.
mm,
But what I've noticed, like if you do a little bit, if you work with someone who I know and they're like, yeah, I feel anxious. But then if you do it a bit longer, then the anxiety starts either evening
mm,
out or going away. So I guess again, like that lower frequency connecting to something within you
mm.
is really powerful. And layering again the harp because the harp's got such a wide range of frequencies. It goes from very low to very high. And I love doing the gong with a layering of quite high frequencies of the harp. Then
Yeah.
again, like creates few dimensions that
Mm.
your ear, can hold on to. And then kind of, it will take you on a different journey.
And I know you also mentioned the ocean drum. Where does that come from? I think the first time I saw it was looking through your stories.
Well, I've been searching for different instruments, and the one I've got is actually by a percussion company who I
Mm,
think the history, like the rain stick. It's
yeah,
goes way back, and it's filled with little cacti things. And I guess maybe that's been developed from that. It really does sound like an ocean. And again, like it because it is quite loud
yeah.
and it can make you feel like it's too exhilarating. But after a while, again, you start relaxing into it. And it's one of the instruments I get the most comments after the session because people are like, what was that? And like they need to see it. And then I do a little demo afterwards. And the ocean drum, being the least expensive of my instruments, gets the, the most love.
I love that. Keeping it
Yeah.
simple. I saw a video recently of a guy who specializes in didgeridoos, and he
Yeah.
just went to Home Depot and he was like, if you can't afford a didgeridoo, he bought like 3 sets of pipes and put them together, and it sounded surprisingly accurate.
Oh,
Didgeridoo on a
but
budget.
it's difficult to play them, so I guess because he's skilled,
Yeah,
he knows how to play them well. You
really
can do it
difficult.
3D printed as well, I think.
It's really awesome to see how much. I don't know if it's just because the circles I'm in, but there's more and more sound offerings and normal everyday people, as you said, like people who are kind of skeptical working in corporate, they're more and more open to it.
Mm. Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
a real resurgence. I can't imagine this like 10 years ago. Now, I usually ask like a group of corporate people whether they've done one before, and there's always
Yeah.
someone who's done at least one session,
Mm,
which is quite interesting. But take us 10 years back, and people would never probably would have heard about sound bath.
exactly.
Yeah, so I guess it's just again a proof that it works and people are enjoying it. And some people might not want physical activity to help them to kind
Mm,
of to relax. They just want something else. And being a form of meditation, I feel like it's a good entry level meditation when you can't be in the quiet without your
mm,
thoughts overtaking and just
100%.
yeah, so the sound is very, very powerful for that.
So let's go to a bit of a deep dive on your learning journey. How you went from concert harpist to then learning about sound healing to working with corporate clients. Do you do one-on-ones as well?
I do, yes. I do,
Yeah.
either at my studio, as you can see, it only fits 2 people, but the
Mm.
sound is amazing because it's like a box room. But I also do sometimes at, at people's places, either in small
Yeah.
groups or one-to-one. Yeah, one-to-one is lovely because you really get to kind of connect and feel people's energy. It's wonderful. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's different from big groups. Yeah, both are nice, to be honest. So yeah, the journey, because I'm still working in classical music and in other genres, probably half of my time. So
Yeah.
balancing that is quite exciting because you always do something different and both are fueling each other because it's still working within the sound world and
Yeah.
creating something um alongside the same theme. Well, to be a sound healer, you don't need to have musical background as such.
Yeah.
And I know some people who don't, and they doing incredible work. It's understanding the energy and the frequencies,
Mm.
and yeah, there are courses both online and in person that can kind of kickstart that journey into learning about theory behind it all
Mm.
and then kind of getting into practice. For me, theory was really interesting because that's just like learning about Vedic medicine and centuries of sound being used as medicine. In
Yeah.
fact, there is a wonderful book called Sound as Medicine
I love
by,
that book.
yeah, that book by, I actually have it somewhere.
Is it
Oh, over there.
Coleridge Chowdhury,
Yes,
I think?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Such a great
So
book.
exactly. So because I was looking at for different kind of references to link both
Mm.
traditional medicine and Vedic medicine. So that was really, really interesting. So yeah, read some of that and then get yourself some instruments to start experimenting because again there are different courses and things. Like personally, I've only done because I was doing all the studying whilst COVID was happening, so I was doing
Yeah.
everything online. But for me the biggest learning was when I got my instruments and understanding how to work with them, how the best frequency, the best, and also every ball, every set would, you would have to understand it and connect to it in a different way.
Mm.
I guess the same could be said about like harps, for example. When I like my harp, the main harp, I've been playing for over 15 years, the same instrument, and I just connected so much more. It's like your friend. And then your instruments, then once you know them, you can create a much deeper experience for people because you know how to connect to them and how to make the sounds sound, the best they can. Yeah, and obviously investing into good instruments because they're like with singing bowls, you can get something that just doesn't sound really nice, and then no matter what you do,
Yeah.
you're not gonna do the same experience for people.
Exactly. And how would you say having that classical musical training has sort of influenced your sound baths?
I always would think about it as a more of performance in a way because I want to create like peaks and kind of culminations and drops like you build a DJ set, right? Because you
Yeah.
want the crowd to feel like, to go on a journey. And
Mm.
I think about that in that structure way. And with Harp being the key element of my practice, I create the patterns like that once you kind of listening to them, maybe they'll help again to get your mind on a journey to uncover something or to
Mm.
connect to something you don't even know you need to be connected to, but then you feel it afterwards. So
Yeah.
I guess that's how my sessions are built differently from kind of a musical perspective.
Mm.
But equally, yeah, you don't have to be a musician. You can just work with the sound in a different way.
Yeah. I do find that so interesting. I have singing roles as well, and it's like I don't have a musical background.
Mm.
And I know, as you say, a lot of people I know have musical backgrounds versus don't have musical backgrounds, and their sound baths are equally a relaxing experience. But that's something I do want to learn a little bit more on like the beats and the pauses and
Mm.
layering and yeah, it's super interesting having that technical musical knowledge to bring in as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of courses that I've seen that people kind of you can go and study on, they cover a bit of musical theory.
Yeah,
And teaching music myself to kids and adults, I'm a big advocate for theory, music theory, because it's just so interesting. It's like then once you kind of understand how chords work, the rhythm, oh, it kind of all makes sense. You know, you start understand certain genres and yeah, in a much better way. And I guess that could be all linked to, sound healing as well.
totally,
Yeah.
totally. So let's go back to corporate. I would love for you to share a little bit more about how to actually get into corporate spaces. So how do you pitch companies? Are they coming to you? Do you use SEO? Like what was your process to because it feels like you're really positioned as this corporate sound healer. That sounds
Well, to
terrible.
be I
A sound
know.
healer for the corporate
Yeah.
space.
Um, to be absolutely honest, that is the help of my partner. He's been working in marketing for many years, and I call
Great.
him my marketing guru. So without him, I wouldn't have had such a good-looking website with, good SEO. And yeah, thanks to that company, I never approach companies. They usually approach me, and then once I get a client like Meta, they keep coming back because I've got so many employees and I limit my sessions. Not just because I can't do bigger sessions, but usually the spaces are not even big enough. So usually I limit them to 25 people, to 30 people. But that's a good group. You don't really need larger. So, but yeah, within the corporate world, that's nothing, right? It's not that many. So that's why. And yes, I'm extremely grateful for that because it's something that I've learned to love so much.
Yeah.
At first, I must say I was very anxious to come to those places and not know what the response would be. I would say for my first 10 sessions, I would always feel like, oh, they probably think I'm just doing something really odd. But yeah, with more and more responsibilities, they're never going to see me again, right? So they don't need to come
Mm.
up after the session and share something and,
Yeah.
they can just go. Yeah, people come up and share wonderful things, what they've experienced, what they felt, and that they would love to do it again. With that, I started understanding how meaningful this work is and
Yeah.
that people really do need it.
Especially in that space. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that it works, most importantly, because
Mhm.
again, like starting that and going for my very first sound bath and being like, is this actually going to work? How's the sound going to work? What do I need to ask for? What kind of room? So
Mm.
working this out as you go, but like with anything in life, right? More you do it, more experienced you become. And now I feel a lot more confident because I've been to all sorts of corporate environments
Yeah.
that I know that some of them will be a little bit more stressful, some of them people you'll instantly connect to. But yeah, I'll know how to approach people. And I guess that just only comes with experience and
Yeah.
just starting out. If you a sound healer and you want to get yourselves into a corporate sound world. It's about thinking what you can offer to the space,
Mm.
thinking how you can position yourself for the office spaces.
Yeah, I guess it's just pitching, getting out there, letting people know who you are and what you can bring to a space like
Yeah,
that. Because it's such a
yeah,
nice break. If I'm sat at a desk all day, my mind's going a million miles an hour. I can't
yeah.
necessarily bring myself down. I know you bring elements of the breath work in, but it's the sound that really helps quiet the mind. And I guess that group is really desperate for that.
Absolutely.
Now, I know outside of doing the sound baths,
Mm.
you have a really amazing band. I would love for
Oh,
you to share a
thank
little
you.
bit about what your music is like outside of this kind of work.
Oh, thank you for mentioning that. So my band called Escape in Time. It's something I've been working on by myself for a while. And like looking for people who I can connect with, which is never easy because if you're co-writing something, you have to be
Mm.
completely on the same page and you have to just like understand each other. And yeah, so I met my band mate. I never know how to call call him band partner,
Mm.
Peter, and we have been co-writing really successfully. We just really enjoy it and starting to have more and more performances again, just so exhilarating to share that. And genres, because again, at the core of every composition is the harp, and
Yeah.
I like reinventing different techniques, maybe using percussion elements on the harp, layering it, looping it, and then we add synth, guitars, drums. So our fantastic drummer, the Brazilian guy Marcinho, he adds the kind of the Brazilian rhythms to it. We've got elements of drum and bass,
Yeah.
elements of Afrobeat. So it's really hard to describe, but once it's released, I'd love people to kind of to tell me what they think the genre is, because I
Yeah, I
can't.
can put one of the YouTube videos in the show notes. It's such a funky kind of fusion, but I wouldn't know how to term it. But I think
How,
that's what's so interesting because it feels like to me you're really, really creative in the way that you bring the harp into almost spaces where it's so doesn't normally hang out, like sound healing. It fits really well in both of those spaces, but it's not commonly there.
Yeah, no, harp, because again, harp traditionally you kind of associated with more classical sound, more
Mm,
classical world, but it's such a cool instrument. It's got so many dimensions to it. You can, yeah, play with electronic music and drum and bass, and it works.
yeah.
My other band I'm in, called London Electronic Orchestra, we've been playing for years together with Kate Simcoe, and
You're in the London Electronic.
yeah, I've been there. Well, Kate Simcoe is a DJ and composer. She and I met at the Royal College of Music when we were both studying there.
Wow.
Yeah, that was kind of when London Electronic Orchestra was formed, and yeah, we've even played at the Wonderfruit main stage in Thailand. So
Amazing.
yeah, it's taken us places because again, it's a slightly different concept of live instruments. Loads of people do it now, but
Yeah.
just yeah, seeing harp and string instruments within a club usually is quite
Mm.
exciting for people. Whilst in the concert hall, people have seen it all, right? So you've
Yeah.
seen yeah, harp in more traditional places. Ireland is just so amazing. So
Mm.
yeah, so jealous you live in such a cool place. Yeah.
Especially now, I feel like Chiang Mai is really becoming a bit of a sound healing hub.
Yeah.
There's like sound studios everywhere and singing bowls,
Really.
and you can really, like every other.
What's your favorite type of sound bath?
So I have singing bowls, like the
Mhm.
Nepalese ones, and I love using. I was taught by two teachers. One of them's the guy I spoke about earlier who works a lot
Mhm.
with addicts. English guy who's like really, what's the word? Used to be into trance, like very dynamic, and
Mm.
he does crystal bowls and
Mhm.
healing sounds. And then my other teacher is a guy called Aman, Nepalese guy who works with healing, the traditional ancient healing melodies
Mhm.
and like the circle of the fifth and all that kind of stuff. So
Mhm.
that's his method. The Swayambhu method is the style I use, and I prefer 1-to-1
Yeah.
sessions with like bowls on the body and using the vibro acoustic
Yeah.
bowl, the antique bowl.
Yeah.
And I just absolutely love it. I just bought some tuning forks because I was like, I need some connection to sound while I'm traveling. I
Mm.
can't travel with my singing bowls, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Um,
that's too heavy. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But I'm also very interested in the voice as well. Got friends that
That is
use the voice,
powerful.
and it is kind of strange. I would have said I was not sure what to think of it because my friend, her focus is using the voice as well as singing bowls and hand pan.
Mm.
But when I went to a few of her sound baths, it's just so relaxing. It just drops you into this like a lullaby. almost.
Mm.
Yeah. What about
I guess
you?
well,
What's your favorite sound?
yeah, it's obviously never the same when you do one rather than you're receiving one. Yeah, one-on-one is amazing. I
Mm,
personally think I like the softness of the Tibetan balls a bit more. I sometimes, depending on the balls, but I found that some crystal balls can be just a bit too harsh for me, especially when they're
same.
played with the kind of, the kind of leathery stick. Quite
Yes.
scratchy, and that instantly disconnect me from, that experience when you're, like, enjoying it. Gong, I always find really interesting. That gong bath, I struggle with for the first 10 minutes, and then I'm
Yeah.
relaxing into it. The first 10 minutes, I'm like on edge because if there's nothing else but gongs. So that's why having just one element for people who never done it before might be quite intense. Whilst when you're using different elements, it's easier entry level sound bath because
Mm,
then even if you don't connect to, like, say, gong or a ball, then the combination of things might still take you on a journey rather than
yeah.
lying there being like, I'm not sure I'm connecting to that. So that's, I guess, yeah, good glue for corporate.
I guess as
Yeah,
well, there's also that question of, does a sound bath have to feel comfortable? Does it have to
exactly.
sound calming? Because some of the best ones I've been to as well, they're like so intense. At times,
Yeah,
it's not totally not enjoyable.
yeah,
But then somehow you are forced through it and you end
yeah,
up in a much better physical state.
definitely.
Mm.
Do you know the whale sound created with the gongs? Whale
Is
sound.
that where
So
you have the rubber thing and you kind of move it
yeah, yeah, yeah,
down?
yeah.
It's so sci-fi, isn't it?
I love it. I love it.
Sometimes I have to like open one eye to check I'm still in the dimension.
Yeah, because I also guess, like, always different, the sound you make, because it
Mm,
depends where you rub, and sometimes they're, like, deeper than other times. But I guess that is one of my favorite ones, because it does really take you places. But
uh,
then for people, sometimes it might, again, feel a bit, people who never done it before, might feel a bit intense, but you gotta go through that. I completely
yeah.
agree with you. You can't be all flowery and just you gotta have the element of ups and downs throughout the session.
Mm,
Then it's not, I guess, as a deep experience as it can be. There's so
mm.
much to it, really, like to the sound.
Are you one of these people that uses silence a lot in your sound baths, or do you tend to have something happening throughout the whole duration?
That's a good question. I do like leaving some gaps between because i- it's nice sometimes to leave that kind of space to, again, just focusing on the breath. I don't leave massive gaps. It depends on who I'm doing it for. If it's someone who's done the sessions before and one on one, yeah, you can experiment. Also, you can feel, right? They can feel what's right in the moment. And I guess more you do them as a practitioner, more you understand what you need to have in that particular moment rather than just follow. I never follow one plan. It has to
Yeah.
always be personal and depending
Mm,
with the space with the people. But yeah, one on one, you can feel that more than anything else because that person is like giving their everything and you trying to give
yeah.
your everything to them. And that's when the real kind of magic happens. And sometimes tears and sometimes, yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I love seeing the one-on-ones and seeing people twitch and things start to happen and start to shift. Did you want to share a little bit about your like growing up and coming into music? Was it your choice to play the harp or how did that come about?
My background, like going into harp, as I started at the age of 8. I'm so grateful to all the teachers and all the places because I've had some incredible teachers. One of my kind of favorite and someone who gave me the love for harp I have, she would just stay with me for as she would come to my place because she was also happened to be a friend of my grandma and she was the same age as my grandma. So she was like a very
Mm,
old school kind of, and she would just stay for as long as she felt like I needed to, which could be hours. And for being
wow.
like, a little child, you're gonna like hear, the teachers do like 45 or an hour and on the minute they finish, which is fair enough, right? But going from that background, that's why I don't teach the same way. Like I teach like if I have time, I'll just go for as long as I want. Well, my students probably like, sorry, I need to go. I've had enough. But I could never say that because I was home, and I knew that she would just finish and go and have tea with my grandma. Yeah, there were times when I'd be like, just like, can we just finish? I just want to like play
Yeah.
toys, not harp. But then, yeah, maybe at the time I wasn't understanding how lucky I was. But when I
Mm,
grew up, I was like, that was why I love it so much, even though I had that kind of the tough times with it and love hate relationship at one point,
yeah.
especially when I was thinking that I was belonging in an orchestra, which I understood I wasn't, because it's not the
Yeah.
same for me.
Was it
But
just
when I
too stressful to did it what was it like being in an orchestra like that?
Yeah, I think the element of, especially for the harp, because you usually only one harp, sometimes two, and very rarely more than two. Whilst being in a string group as a violin with a harp, you're very exposed. And I
Yeah.
guess just I always felt that I don't belong. I'll just mess it up,
Mm,
especially if it's a big solo. And it removed the element of, because when you play, when you really know what you're doing and when you enjoy it, you then remove the thought process almost from that and you just left with a feeling. Whilst for me, it was impossible to do in an orchestra because there was too much thought. Like,
yeah.
obviously, you have to, because you have to be so precise and I guess everyone's wired very differently. And some people do such amazing job playing in an orchestra. And I just felt maybe it wasn't for me. It's not that I wasn't doing bad job. I would always be overly prepared but just the stress. Yeah.
Mm,
And the preparation for, auditions, oh my goodness, that's just it's so intense. It's like an interview for, a job you really want, and then you know that you're going against really incredible people, some of them being your friends, and that is what I really didn't like. You're going in to play the same program, and then your friend goes going after you, and you're really wishing them well too, but equally you really want that too. It's just a conflict. That's why being in my own space, that obviously there'll be people who will try and explore this space, but you got to know how to improvise because a lot of harpists, even being incredibly good musicians, they can't freestyle and they'll just need to play written out music or or really pre-planned. But this is all about like learning how to be really on with your instrument because with singing bowls there is no really technical element, right? Like
yes,
there is,
correct.
but not the same extent. But here, like you put the wrong pedal, it might sound really bad. Or like,
Mm,
so you do have to really be good technically. So yeah, I don't think everyone can do this.
yeah.
For sound bath traditional method, yes, but then there is a concept where they do classical music with people lying down. But I guess it's different because the reason why I don't want to play music that has been written on, because people recognize it, they might kind of connect to something. It's different
I
when you listen to
totally
the
know
track.
what you mean. You're like
Yeah.
connecting to you're allowing something else, whatever that might be, to just sort of come through you and playing sort of intuitively.
Explaining that again to people who I'm trying to teach, sometimes it's not easy because they're like, but what do you mean? Can't I just like play, Eric Satie or something? And it's like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, but people be like, oh, I've heard it in that movie, or I've heard it, and then
Mm,
it's not the thought process I want. I want just the raw feelings. That's why I don't want them to see what I'm doing. I don't want them to
yeah.
recognize anything. I know that you know what I mean, but a lot of
Yeah.
people don't quite get that. Weirdly.
Oh, it sounds great.
I've been combining it with other things as well, like with yoga and things like that
Mm,
for deep experiences. And that's another thing, but it's just so much organized, so much
yeah.
planning. I wish I could just like come and everything's there, the harp and everything, but just the pure like going into the chancery lane. Yeah. There's very few offices have underground parking, very few. And I don't like coming to a place being stressed because then again,
Yeah.
it's that work you want to do. And I guess to your friend who says like corporate, yeah, it is not for everyone. You gotta be you gotta know how to like unpeel that stress, because driving
Yeah.
into central, because I bring all the mats with me, all the like, it's so much equipment.
I saw your video of you getting out the car, and it's like literally the people that you see going into Zara through the back entrance with like a trolley stacked high.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I
Yeah,
understand you needing
my
the car
favorite
parking space.
cage trolleys, and yeah, and it's not what it looks like once everything is there, right? Like everything's there,
Uh,
everyone's chill. But I don't want people again who come into the session to think about that. It's not
yeah,
really important. But yeah, you should. How long are you in London for?
just until next Wednesday, pretty much.
So I thought maybe we can find time for you to come around. I'll give you a little sound bath.
I would love that. I too would love to give you a sound bath with the setup I normally use. So next time for sure, we'll have to do like a little trade.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Valeria. I've enjoyed our chat and I really appreciate you taking the time to share your experiences with me.
Thank you so much, Lauren. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.